A very warm good evening to all of you. Welcome to the 120th session of CENTA's webinar series for teachers. I hope all of you are keeping safe and staying warm. Over the course of the next 1 hour, we will focus on how teachers can make their students become the leaders of tomorrow. Today, for the session, we
Course
have
of the
Mr.
next 1 hour,
Arkapravo
we will
Banerjee.
focus on how teachers can make their students become the leader.
Sorry. We have with us Mr. Arkapravo Banerjee. He is a Group A gazetted officer serving the government of West Bengal. He topped the Eastern India in CENTA TPO 2019. He has worked as a resource person for us for more than 10 times. He has been the advisor for Tagore Institute Bangalore and helped CENTA in continuing their mission in West Bengal. He is the former assistant professor of English communication and SPOC at NPTEL. He is an IELTS consultant, resource person for government and private institutions. He has been recognized by the Hindu, IIT Bombay, NPTEL, and Reliance Foundation. He is also a recipient of the Reliance Foundation Teacher Award. Uh, Welcome, sir. Before I hand over the session to you, I would like to inform all participants that they will be receiving their certificates for this webinar. So please do fill in the feedback form that will be shared to you at 5:45 p.m. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for that long introduction, Simran. Yes, I have been working with CENTA in different capacities and all that, and I love being your CENTA's facilitator or resource person to a certain extent. Now, without much ado, I'll be diving straight into the process now, the presentation. Before I start the presentation, just a few quick words. I'll try my best to wrap this up, this presentation, entire presentation, by 5:45, and after that I'll be looking forward to take your questions. The audience, I'm talking about the audience, I'll be taking your questions, and I'm looking forward to interact with all of you, like most of you rather. I would love to do that, and between slides I'll be asking a few questions, and I'll be asking those questions, and please be mindful to those questions, and try to answer those questions in the live chat box. Okay, so without wasting much time, let me start sharing my screen. So I think it's already sharing. Should I go to the presentation straight? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just give me a base. Yes, whether you can see my entire screen or not.
We are able to see your screen.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello and welcome everyone. It's good to see all of you here. I'm sure like already there are 250 and odd people are with us. We are expecting more people, I'm sure. So like back in the 80s, like 1980s, there were HIV and AIDS, right? Those two different demons rattled the entire world, especially the African countries. Now, people had different misconceptions regarding HIV and AIDS back in those days, just like most of us had misconceptions regarding um, COVID-19 just a year back, maybe. So people used to think that if they hugged each other, or if they sat on the same toilet seat, they would contract HIV or AIDS. So there was a shroud of taboo all around. But something really remarkable happened back in 1987, 19th April, when Princess Diana shook hands with an HIV positive patient. It actually sent a message across the world that it was time that we break the taboo regarding or shrouding HIV and AIDS. So Princess Diana did something remarkable, something wonderful as a leader, right? So teaching leadership qualities to student. Let us start from Princess Diana then, right? So that day she did something which is like testimony to a great leader, and she did it with the tool of compassion, right? A great leader, a good leader, always has different qualities, out of which compassion is just one. and we will talk more about other qualities a leader must possess in our next slides. First question for the day: what comes to your mind when you see this picture? Who's this? And the first thoughts that comes that come to your mind when you see this photo, the qualities. How would you define the qualities of this person? Charity, right? Humble, excellent. Humble, right? No, that's Ratan Tata, that we know. But what are the qualities that we can think of, Mr. Ratan Tata? Philanthropy, compassion person, a very down-to-earth person, industrialist, excellent, excellent. A particular photo is doing round the corner, it's doing the rounds, that it went actually viral just a few days back, that just a couple of days back, Mr. Ratan Tata celebrated his 84th birthday in a very humble fashion, right? He just had one cupcake, and that's how he celebrated his birthday, with a very young person. So people were like, in the comment box, they were like, look at him, he's so humble, he's so down to earth. That's humility, right? That's one quality of a true leader. But when Mr. Ratan Tata was challenged, when the reputation and the ethics and the core values of Tata Sons and Group was challenged, he took the reins. I'm sure most of you are aware of the tussle between him and Mr. Cyrus Mistry. Mr. Cyrus Mistry became the chairman of Tata Sons back in 2012, but he was ousted by the board of directors 4 years later, that is 2016. Right. So what happened was, for the unversed, for the people who do not know in detail, there was a Japanese company who made an alliance with the Tata Sons way back in 2009, and they launched Tata Docomo, right? The company was NTT Docomo, and they became Tata Docomo in India. But when the company didn't do well back in those days, so they wanted to sell off their stocks, and NTT Docomo, the Japanese company, requested Mr. Cyrus Mistry to buy back the shares, which Mr. Mistry didn't. He completely said no, in bold and caps. Exactly where Mr. Ratan Tata came into the picture, and he was of the opinion that it is about the values and the core ethics of my company or our group, Tata Sons, and the Tata as a group, as a symbol of charity, that we stick to our guns, and we we value our ethics more than any particular person. So in the process, Mr. Mistry was ousted from the board of directors. So that is also the quality, a great quality of a true leader. When you are in troubled waters, you take the reins, you take the charge, and show the world who's the boss. Right? Right. Next question for all of you, people who are attending this webinar. I'll get to all these person, the detail of all these person later on. But next question for all of you. What are the true qualities of a leader? What do you think? Write in the chat box. Please write in the chat box. You have 15 seconds. What are the true qualities of a true leader? Communication, right? I'm getting those answers. Courageous, patience, compassion, humility, inspiring others, teamwork, patience, focus, sacrifice, involve all. Excellent, excellent. Exactly that. These are the, like, I'm getting a lot of answers, like a lot of response. Thank you so much for being so kind with your answers. Now, Sir Alex Ferguson, people who are into football, they know that Alex Ferguson is probably regarded as the best football coach ever. But he didn't coach people. He used to manage players. So he was a great manager. So a leader has to become a leader has to show managing skills as well, managing skills as well, right? Steve Jobs, he used to tell, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, he used to tell people that Apple is world's largest startup because they believed in the startup culture where everybody has something to contribute to. Okay, so leaders always give space to others, like Steve Jobs did. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the legend, right? Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was the was working on a project back in 1979. Here, I'll just tell you a story which happened in real world actually. Back in 1979, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was working on a project with ISRO, and then his mission failed. He was working under Dr. Satish Dhawan. Dr. Satish Dhawan took the entire responsibility of the failure and didn't let APJ Abdul Kalam to face the press. The next year, that is 1980, the mission again took off and it was succeeded. It was successful. It got succeeded and it was successful. After that success, Dr. Satish Dhawan didn't come to take the credit. He actually sent Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam to take the credit and face the press. So that is what true leaders do. True leaders are medal givers and not medal takers. Okay, not takers, they are givers mostly. Mr. Narayana Murthy, Infosys, the founder and chairman of the company Infosys, he is of the opinion that always people should, the leaders should walk the talk, right? The things you preach, you should practice them as well. And Mr. Murthy is also of the opinion that if you should always behave the same way every day, almost like the same way, because otherwise if you are partial, if you are like if your judgment is one-sided, it is not going to help your team. Mr. Saurav Ganguly, being a Bengali myself, how could I not go with this particular gentleman? Saurav Ganguly, our beloved Dada, 20 years back, he was the captain, but he selected and groomed and backed a lot of players who went on to become the world champions back in 2011, right? It was the same with Mr. Steve Waugh, who built the team, who groomed youngsters, and they became world champions back to back, like for 2 or 3 times. That was the case. So a true leader picks and backs and grooms his players, his team members, right? And Hal Gregerson, yes, is exactly. I'm getting the point that is the best. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam is the best role model of simple living and high thinking. Excellent. Yes. Hal Gregerson was a senior lecturer of MIT Sloan School of Management. He says that innovative leaders make innovative companies, and people should, like, the leaders should believe in 3 P's: people, process, and philosophy. Right? People, process, and philosophy. I'm running through all these slides because I have a lot to interact. I would love to interact with all of you. So you can, whenever in doubt, you can always come back to this video and can revisit it. Right. So according to Harvard Business Review, HBR in short, these are the qualities an authentic leader should possess. Okay. Back in February 2007, George Sims, McLean, and Meyer, they interviewed 125 leaders from different companies, CEOs, CFOs, and CEOs. They were interviewed, and they jotted down these points. Okay, learn from life. Leaders always learn from life. Okay, for them, life is the greatest teacher. Leaders are self-aware, and they follow perfect, like, specific values and principles, okay, by heart. Leaders always are investing in teams, like building and empowering teams, because there's a famous saying that if you want to go fast, you walk alone. If you want to go big, you always have to have a team. Okay, so you should build a team, you should hire teams. If you have a team, as a leader, will succeed for sure. As a leader, you should balance your intrinsic and extrinsic motivation as well. Like, you want to earn money, that's fine. That is probably your intrinsic motivation, but again at the same time helping people, helping cultures, like helping a state, helping a group of people, that should also be your extrinsic motivation. And the balance, you have to strike a balance between your intrinsic and your extrinsic motivation. Leaders, just like Mr. Ratan Tata and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, leaders are always grounded. Okay, they have humility. They always leave legacy for the next generation. They would love to do that time and again, right? Uh, okay, so Simon Sinek is one of the best motivational speakers going around in the world right now, and he has given this the golden circle, the what, how, and why of success. Okay, for him, the leader is someone who knows the why part of it. Okay, for example, I know what I'm doing right now. I'm presenting. Now, how I'm presenting through the platform, using the platform of CENTA. But why I'm presenting? Why are you attending my webinar? There has to be a reason. If you are clear on that, if we agree on that particular point, then all the three parts, why, how, and what, are clear to all of us. So the what, how, and why of success, and also someone who knows all these three parts, is a true leader. Okay, Goldman's EI and leadership. Uh, Daniel Goldman's EI and leadership here, emotional intelligence and leadership. Goldman was of the opinion that a true leader has self-awareness. He or she knows like their weaknesses and their strengths. And once they know their weaknesses and strengths, they always want to control, they want to regulate themselves, right? If I get angry very easily, I'm not going to like control or maybe manipulate, or maybe I should not use the word manipulate. I would not be able to get the desired result out of my team. So I have to regulate my anger, I have to regulate my excitement, I have to regulate my emotions, right? Motivation, until unless a leader is not motivated enough, there is no way he or she can motivate the team and others, the peers I'm talking about. Okay, so empathy, again, after motivation comes empathy. If you are asking, if as a leader you are asking your team members how's your day, make sure you stay there until you get the answer, right? So if you are asking how was your day, get the answer. Try to empathize with your, not the sympathy part but the empathy part. Okay, empathize with your peers, with your team members, with your colleagues. That is going to be that is going to help you in long term, and your company as well. The company, your company is going to get or your institution is going to get the benefit in long term. Okay, so social skills, after self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, comes social skills. So I have already as a suppose I'm a leader, I'm trying to be a leader, and I have full control over all the top four criteria. Now if my social skills are not on spot, it is not going to of much help. So social skills are like, you go out, you socialize with other people. You should, in order to flourish as a leader, you have to have right amount of exposure as well. So it is important that you follow, as a leader, according to Daniel Goldman, you follow these criteria as a leader. So how to build a championship team, right? It is one thing that you are a good leader, but at the same time you need to build a championship team as well. You can go and check the book like Leadership by Brian Tracy. You'll get these points there, over there. You can go and check this book. The company you keep, right? You're known by the company you keep. And also, as a leader, you choose great minds and not necessarily people with great skills. I mean, skills and knowledge you can always upgrade. So once the best of the companies, they hire great minds first, and then they train, the companies train and upgrade the skill sets of those minds. And as a leader, it is expected that you'll give your team members enough space to analyze different situations and take decisions accordingly, right? Again, at the same time, as a leader, you give your team members, your peers, fitting assignments. It is extremely important that you understand the strengths and weaknesses of yourself and of your team members as well. Okay, so keep the bad apples out. It is not about keeping out bad students from the class, but it's more about how if after repeated effort, if you are not getting the desired response from a few people or maybe a particular team member, you should ask him or her to sit down for a bit and take some rest, and then to come back and join the process. That is how corporate works, right? That is how leaders work. Leaders are not only about hiring and firing people. Leaders are about leadership is all about understanding and persisting with people who are not performing as well. Better communication and excellence. I've seen this. You've actually written this in the live chat box that communication is needed to become a better leader. Excellent. Yes, better communication is needed. But what happens when you do not communicate, or when you fail to communicate with your team members and peers? This is what happens when you fail to do that. Just a month back, there was an uproar regarding this company, Better.com. They are billions in worth. They are billions in worth. And Better.com CEO, Mr. Vishal Garg, fired 900 employees over a Zoom call. Right? These were the headlines. Like, video shows Better.com CEO telling employees you will not be allowed to fail twice, and he sacked 900 employees. And right after that, the entire move backfired, because right after that, the Better CEO who fired 900 people over a Zoom call, is taking some time off, right? Again, 3 top executives of Better.com resign after CEO lays off 900 people over Zoom call. Okay, so it didn't augur well for the company Better.com, that one decision. So it actually backfired and misfired miserably. Now, what happens when you try to deal with any problem, any issue with the help of your team? We will get into the positive part of it. Right. Again, a few headlines. Instead of laying off 20% of his company, this CEO, that is the Gravity CEO, Dan Price, made an unusual decision, which is a lesson for emotional intelligence students. Okay. He asked his employees to take pay cuts and to decide the amount of pay cut they will be taking. So he gave them a choice. He gave his employees a choice, right? Which is probably was the best thing to do at that particular point of time. Again, PayPal is the latest company to take a no coronavirus layoff pledge, right? It happened last year, and you'd be more than happy to know that a few Indian companies joined this particular place as well, like Paytm did that as well. And also Wipro not laid off a single employee, will not lay off anyone due to pandemic. Great statement by Wipro chairman Rishad Premji, right? So they didn't lay off any employee whatsoever. So this is how leaders work. This is how leaders take care of their team, so that once they are in troubled waters, the team he has been taking care of, they will take care of the owner, the leader, someday in long term maybe, but definitely he will. Ethical leadership and practices. Ethical leadership and practices. Leading by example. There is something called ethical leadership as well. Leaders who have ethics in themselves, who follow ethics, they lead by example. They hold themselves accountable for something. They are responsible, right? They are responsible for things they do and the decisions they take. Okay. Ethical leadership also calls for demonstrating integrity as well, which Vishal Garg didn't really show, if you ask me, because integrity is when you pay respect to your peers and your team members and people who work with you, who work for you. He didn't show that. He failed to show that at the time of like at the time when his employees needed him the most. The diplomacy and civic relations. Diplomacy and civic relations. It calls for your unbiased judgment. Leaders who are unbiased, who are objective and not subjective, they excel more often than not. And leaders always focus on both short-term and long-term goals, and at the same time they keep a tab on what his team members are doing, whether they are feeling at ease or not, whether they are comfortable or not. So leaders do these stuffs as well. Right now, my next question to you would be the last question, rather. After that I'll be presenting a few more slides, but for you the last question would be, who is the best leader you have seen in your life and why? Who is the best leader you have seen in your life and why you think he or she is the best leader you have seen? Who is the best leader you have seen in your life? Okay, Ratan Tata. Somebody is taking the name of our respected Prime Minister. Your boss. Great to know that. Great to know that. Your mother. Right. Swami Vivekananda. Right. I'm getting your answers. Indira Gandhi. Right. Your dad, my principal, your boss, my uncle, teacher in charge. Excellent. I'm so happy that you have decided, all of you have decided to join in with your inputs. Excellent. So now the most important part begins. So we have come to know about these points, these qualities that one should have in order to become a better leader. Now, sir, as teachers, how can we inculcate these qualities in our students? So here you go. Modus operandi 1, how you can deal with your students. Now, as teachers, it is our duty to make them readers and listeners, better listeners and readers, right? Because leaders are readers. Always remember one thing: leaders are readers. Leaders are readers, right? And good listeners as well. Until and unless they have their receptive skills spot on, they're not going to be better leaders. Because leaders, people who are boss and leaders, they are good listeners as well. They take care of their employees. Encourage your students to go for co-curricular activities, right? Because it helps them to get some idea about how people around them are working and what they are thinking, and collaborative works and activities are always appreciated in the classroom, whether it is online or offline. Encourage your students to take decisions. For example, go inside your class and ask your students what you are going to teach on for that day, and ask them about the topic, and do not decide on yourself, like on your own. Ask them to decide whether you're going to do some writing or some mathematics, some calculation or not. So you ask them, you encourage them to take decisions, right? Next, collaborative activities. It is always prescribed that you ask your students to do collaborative work. So debate. It is important that your students are good at debate, because arguments are always welcome. Healthy arguments are always welcome. Group discussions, important again. It is like a brainstorming session. Group discussions are always needed, simply because in order to exchange your ideas, in order to do better in your life, the students need to understand one thing, that they should take ideas, they should exchange ideas with one another. Case studies. I don't know how many students get to see their teachers do this, but it is highly recommended from my side that you people who are attending this webinar, please go for case studies. Tell your students that Sir Isaac Newton was not a very bright kid at the beginning when he started off, but he went on to become someone who changed the entire game of physics. Again, another case study, Nykaa founder, Nykaa, a cosmetic brand, I'm sure you know that. Nykaa main is also there. So the owner, the founder of Nykaa, started off her company in her 50s, early 50s, and they are worth in billions right now. So these are the case studies that you can discuss in your class, both online and offline. As a teacher, you set examples. You do something that you want your students to do and students to follow. Okay. Parents consultation, you do the same thing with your parents, with the parents of the students as well. Ask the parents, arrange parent teachers meetings once a month, maybe or twice a month, and ask the parents to let their children take a few decisions, like how would the new renovation work would uh, take shape at their place, or maybe the what color to choose from, and what are the colors to choose from, or maybe how the students, how the children can help their parents in doing the budget of the month, maybe. Okay, like drafting a budget for the month. So take small decisions. Okay, encourage uh, the parents to let their children take small decisions, because leaders always take the final call, leaders take the final decision, and they have to be responsible, they have to be accountable for the decision they take. Tell your story. Storytelling is an art. Okay, I'll get to the storytelling part in a bit. Leaders always tell stories. True or make believe ones doesn't really matter. Storytelling is an art, and this is how it is done. Stories connect. Stories always connect. Like I for example, I struggled a lot initially 10 years back. I didn't have much money. Right now I have a lot of fan following. I have millions of millions worth of assets and lying in my bank, maybe. So this is what like rags to riches story. This is how rags to riches story help to attract people, more people. Like educational plot is the part when you are learning, you are struggling. Okay, that is the education part. And the maturation part is when you are earning money, you are successful. That is the maturation plot. So always, as a teacher, encourage your students to tell stories. Okay, leaders tell stories, and this is how they make the stories work. They a leader can actually tell stories to encourage other people, the encourage or the just like boost up the intensity of a particular uh, team. So this is how stories work. Again, I'm sure most of you are aware of TED Talks. Back in 2012, Brian Stevenson delivered a particular TED Talk, an 18-minute long TED Talk, which received the longest which received the like, standing ovation for the longest time. It's a record, still a record. And 65% of his TED talk was like was full of stories. Okay, he told stories mostly, and he followed this pattern of pathos, logos, and ethos. The ancient part. This is the ancient. These are the ancient components of persuasion propagated by none other than Aristotle himself, thousands of years back, centuries back. Pathos, emotional connect. Logos, evidence and data. Ethos, credibility. So pathos, logos, ethos. Emotional connect, evidence and data, and last but not the least, credibility. Some amount of credibility. So that when the leaders are telling the stories, people around him or her, they believe. Okay, and always maintain one thing, that your story should have continuity, causality, and coherence, the three C's of a story: the beginning, the middle, and end. Continuity, causality, and coherence. I could have gone on and on with how stories can connect, how stories are integral, have become an integral part of our life, but we do not have that much of time. Exactly why I'll be like wrapping up soon. So right, leaders are strong at networking. How can we encourage our students to network like leaders? Okay, Volunteer. Ask your students to volunteer a lot of stuffs. Okay, it is not about getting paid for something. You can volunteer. You can always ask the students to volunteer work. Okay, it is a work ethic. It actually builds a work culture that is going to help him or her in near future for sure. Alumni alumni associations are not only there for organizing one or two picnics each year, but you can actually ask the students to get in touch with the alumni association so that they have some amount of network even before they pass out of the school. They pass out of the school, right? So connection, you ask them, you ask your students to get in touch with the alumni association, the seniors, the super seniors maybe. Ask them, encourage them to do internships. Paid, unpaid, doesn't really matter. Internships are very crucial. Socialize. Ask them to socialize, go to events and go to the, like, you should have exposure at least of some amount, right? Invite. This happens in Western countries, not much in our country, in India, as of now. uh, Invite people over for a cup of tea or coffee and discuss ideas. Ask your students to invite their friends and family members to their place and like discuss different ideas over a cup of tea. That actually makes, that spices things up, right? That actually makes the whole thing more look more stylish, more it gives it more purpose, right? Okay, so last but not the least, it is my earnest request to all of you that please take a note of these books: Leadership by Brian Tracy, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek, Stories at Work by Indrali Chakraborty, Authentic Leadership by Harvard Business Review, and Taking the Work Out of Networking by Karen Wickren. These are the 5 books that I am recommending you to read. Just give it a read and ask your students who are like in class in standard 8, 9, or 10. Ask them to read these books. Please take a screenshot or just come back to this video later on so that you can take down the notes. Again, leaders are readers. Okay, so on the left side of your screen, you have my LinkedIn account. That's a screenshot of my LinkedIn account. On the right side, I have my Facebook page as well. I'm on Facebook as well. I have been following. I've been followed by almost 3,000 people. You can join this herd as well. Uh, I've been doing this for the past few years now, and I'm sure there are a lot of school leaders and school teachers who are with us right now, and people who will be visiting this particular video and re-watching this video later on. You can get in touch with me over using these profiles, and I'll be more than happy to help you, help the teachers and the school as a whole in capacity of a resource person. Thank you so much for your time. Today was 30th December. In a few hours time, we'll be getting into a new, stepping into a new year. Uh, uh, all the very best for 2022. Let's just hope that we stay safe. Our family members are like they are happy and healthy, and let us hope for a better year ahead. Thank you so much. As I promised, I'll be finishing this session by 5:40, which I have managed to do. So I'll be more than happy to take questions from your side. Simran, if you are there, I'm ready to take questions.
Sure, sure. We'll wait for people to put in their questions on the chat box and I'll read it out to you and you can probably answer them.
Okay, fine, fine.
Can I request the participants to please put in their questions on the chat box?
Anyone with a question there? I'll be more than happy to answer.
We can see a lot of New Year wishes, but before we share wishes, I think we should have a few questions. Okay, so there's one question uh, by Miss Chandani. She wants to know how we can do such things in you or use this thing among the competition that is there in terms of scoring in like completing the syllabus, etc.
Yeah, I think he or she is talking about the pressure, the syllabus pressure, and just to be in time, just in time, and all that. See, we can always take some time off, ma'am or sir. Is it a ma'am or sir?
It's a ma'am.
Ma'am, okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, we can always take some time out of our schedule, and we can always ask our students to take do the same, because at times, like 4 5 classes, they study for like 4 5 classes, 4 5 hours, and between among those hours, if we can actually manage 15 or 20 minutes of time and do a quick session, a quick session regarding the stuffs I've already shared, we can it can help in different ways. It can like reduce the pressure on them, and even as a teacher, I'd be able to take some less pressure for those 15 20 minutes. It is always good, to take some time off, I guess. So we have to manage, because as teachers, it is our responsibility to keep our students in good health, mental health as well, because very few people talk about mental health of the students. And for the last 2 years now, they are confined to a certain extent, just barring a few months, I guess. They have been doing all their classes online. So it is the onus is on us, that we do something out of the ordinary, so that they would love to attend our classes more and more.
Dr. Srinath wants to know how to get success in different people working together without proper awareness. Sorry.
I think different people who are putting in a lot of effort, Dr. Srinath, we can always work around it. Uh, People, what you can do is, depending on the assignment you are working on, if somebody is putting in a better effort, like more effort, the other team members can clap for him or her, maybe. Just small things, the small things. And at the same time, if everybody is contributing equally, then again, you do the same thing, you continue to do stuffs like that, and take take pride in that you have an awesome team, maybe. So very few people can boast of having a very very good team. Okay. It is easier to claim that I'm a very good team player and all that. At the interview desk, we are always asked whether you are a team player or lone wolf, kind of thing. We are very good team players and all that. It's fine, it's all fine to claim, but the thing is, how many people can actually play good in a team, right? So that is therein lies the challenge. So as a teacher, as a mentor, as a trainer, it is my responsibility to build a culture that people feel, the students feel safe and secure, and at the same time motivated to do stuffs which are like, it is like working in the team of Avengers, right? Something which they cannot do on their own. They are joining hands and becoming a unit, so that they can actually combat something far far bigger than the summation of their numbers and powers, right? That's why the Avengers were formed, I guess. The Avengers team was formed. So this is how we can work as well.
We have one question. It's a statement followed by a question. The pink obsessions. I'm not sure what her name is, but wants to know problematic kids, like what we consider problematic in a classroom, could be great leaders, right? And what should be the deciding factor as to consider them whether they are good leaders or not?
Mm. You give them other assignments. See, I'll just give you an example of my from my own life. I used to be a very talkative student, even in my 20s, early 20s. So I used to talk a lot. I was kind of an extrovert and all. And I was doing my B.Ed, and my teachers, the professors, they decided on making me the group leader, because we were divided into different groups, and we were sent to different schools for our practice teaching. Okay, so out of 10 people, they made me the captain. But in anyone would ask the question, why Orko and not somebody else? They actually try to give me one extra chance, so that just prove your mettle. You are very talkative, we know that, but whether you can manage people or not, that is the question, right? So they gave me a chance. In their eyes, I was problematic, quote unquote problematic. He talks a lot. He is probably not suitable for being someone, like being a teacher. Maybe a teacher doesn't talk much. He or she means business. He should, at least. But I was not like that. But still, they took the punt, and probably it helped me to find out my steppings. So it helped me a lot. So I guess you can do the same thing. Give them different assignments, and I'm sure there is something called multiple intelligence. Okay, if I had to ask Lata Mangeshkar to play cricket, she won't be able to, right? It is not possible. So it's the same way you cannot ask Virat Kohli to sing like Sonu Nigam. It's not possible. So try out different stuffs, try out different assignments, and if XYZ, the students, if they are good at something, they will excel for sure. You just wait and watch, and keep an eye on them and their progress. Do not just impede once and for all, and just wait and watch. Be more patient with because at times a few students need more patience. Our patience, they demand our patience, actually, because not everybody is gifted, not everybody is meticulous, not everybody is a genius. And our professor used to say one thing. I've seen in my 30 years of service, I've seen the bombs, the time bombs, the ticking time bombs are those people who are right now, who are sitting at the last row. Okay, last row bench and all. So they're the ticking time bombs. We never know when they're going to explode, but they will explode for sure. And I used to smoke sitting on the last bench. Oh, okay, so he is praising me, right? Okay, he's talking about me, right? So this is how teachers work. You should always encourage other people. You should always encourage. The best thing we can do for our students is to encourage them. That's it. They will follow the suit.
Miss Srija wants to know how to encourage students who are introvert shy to take up the role of a leader.
You are not forcing someone into the role of a leader. That is, let me be very honest. Leadership qualities are there to be developed and to be cultivated. I don't believe in the fact that everybody has to be a born leader. It's not like that. Okay, even Alexander the Great had a teacher in Plato, right? Okay, so basically probably the greatest leader ever. So even he had to learn the art of warfare from a teacher, maybe. So you do not force someone into the role of, you just do not force them. uh, you have to be a leader. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. Nobody wants to become a leader. You become a leader through your work, through the process, and through time. Okay, probably someone you think is a leader is probably not. So again, be patient with your students.
Miss Deepika wants to know adult learners are usually difficult to handle and motivate. So, how do we motivate adult learners?
uh, Ma'am, Deepika, I guess is your name. Deepika, ma'am, I got your question. Adult learners are difficult to handle simply because we do not speak in their language, I guess. If we take up their language, I'm not saying like you have to give slangs and all that. I'm not asking you to do that, but they have different set of priorities. Okay, you know that you have to understand one thing. People who are of our age, like I'm 30. I used to watch Tom and Jerry a lot, but now people are not watching Tom and Jerry. They're watching anime. They're the anime, that is. They're watching something else. They're watching OTT videos. So upgrade yourself as a teacher. Upgrade yourself. You should talk their language. You should speak their language. Okay. Start a class by discussing what was the last OTT release we watched, maybe. That gets them attracted, that gets them talking, right? So or maybe someone you know that he or she is a true sports lover. Talk about sports with that person. So try to delve deeper into their interest and not your interest. Textbooks can wait. If you have get if you have managed to get the attention of like 10 adult learners, you'll always be able to manipulate them. You'll always be able to do stuff that you want to do with them. Don't worry, they will follow the suit. But first, give them something, and only then you can expect the return.
Vasu, I'm not sure if it's a ma'am or a sir, wants to know how to create better listeners.
How to create better listeners, right?
Yeah.
uh, Maybe what you can do is you can ask your students to listen to each other first. Suppose uh, I do this a lot, because I used to do this a lot when they were the online offline classes were going. I used to ask four students to I used to send them to four different corners of a room, and they used to speak to each other. They used to talk to each other, and they had to communicate with each other without failing or missing out any information. This is the basic step that you can do. You have to listen to each and every point. You have to pay attention to each and every point, because if you do not pay attention to those points, you're losing the game. You are lagging behind in the game, right? So this gamification of stuffs, it is very important. I'll be more than happy to do a webinar with CENTA on gamification of learning and all, but try to do that first. And that's how you develop. That's how you start developing the listening skills of a particular student. Because if you are not a listener, if you are not listening properly, uh, leaders always listen. Boss, that's exactly why there's a difference between a boss and a leader, right? Leaders always listen, and they only after they understand something, they have a point to make, only then they speak. They put forward their point. Any other question?
Cletus Zuzarte wants to know how do you get a person who has a different personality goal to become to lead a team, like moving from individualism to a group involvement. How do you get a person who's not like
Hmm,
uh,
got it.
yeah,
I have already, ma'am, sir or ma'am, sir, I guess.
not sure.
Okay, anyone, sir or ma'am, my answer to you would be I've already made it clear that there is no such way you are forcing everyone to become a leader. It is not possible. Either, like, in order to make something out of it, that person has to have something, like some leadership skills. There are people who are good team players, and they are never going to work as a leader. They're good team players. They know only one thing: I'll get the order, I'll work accordingly, I'll go home. That's it. There are people who are like this. So always mark those people and ask them to do what they want to do in their life and with their lives. If they are team players, fine, be it. In a team of 10 people or maybe 100 people at companies, different companies, or at all the companies, everyone cannot become a leader. It is not possible. There has to be one leader or two leaders rather, and the other people play around him or her. Okay, so your, like, as a teacher, my responsibility is to, like, point out that one person, that the one I'm looking for, who's probably the brightest maybe, and if not the brightest, at least has the capacity to excel further in later life.
Miss Dhanashri wants to know more than the intention to inculcate leadership skill, there is a problem of time. How do we, what are some measures that you would suggest for time management?
Again, I have already mentioned this, that you have to manage time, and it is not spotting a talent, spotting a leader is not a matter of, it is not a matter of 1 or 2 weeks. It is a process which can run from, like, it can range from, like, 2 years to maybe 8 years, 10 years, right? No company hires a CEO or CFO straight away, right? Nobody gets up the ladder in that way. He or she, suppose in our, let us take our example, like, we people are school teachers, right? you are eligible to become the principal or the headmaster of a particular school or headmistress of a particular school only if you have served 10 years of service. You've done 10 years of service, right? Only then you are expected to lead. Okay, eligible. You're only eligible after that. So nobody hires a leader straight away. A company, a school, it is on them to guide, to spot and guide a person to become a leader. It is a long drawn process. It's a very long, lengthy process. And if you follow that process, many people actually fall behind, and then they have to scrap the entire plan and again go and search for another possible potential leader and all that. So it works like that. It is not like, even in our service, I'm serving government of West Bengal as a in capacity of an education officer actually. So even us, after we complete 8 and 10 years of service, only then we can get promoted, right? So it's the same thing everywhere. It is not about 1 or 2 classes, 1 or 2 weeks. As a teacher, you spot a few students when they are in class 5 or 6, and then you groom them slowly and slowly when they, until they pass out from your school, right? At like 10th standard or maybe 12th standard. So you have, at least you give them, and give yourself at least 5, good 5, 6 years, so that you can groom them as leaders. Leaders are groomed. They are not born. In my opinion, they're not born. They're groomed. Okay, that's how it works. It works.
There's a very interesting question. I think all the previous questions have been on how to, inculcate leadership. This question by Mr. Joe John is, what can be done if children with leadership skills or qualities are very dominant in a classroom?
Yeah, interesting question again. I second you, Mr. John. Excellent question, first of all. And the second thing is, it comes to them naturally to dominate, because they understand that they are better than them, the rest of the students. And then it becomes more crucial for you as a teacher to like budge in, right? You give them enough space. Obviously, as leaders, even in cricket and football teams, we always think about, like, we always come to know about like a feud between two players, a rib between players and all that, because one is good, one is better than the other. It happens everywhere. But at the same time, as a teacher, what we can do is we can give that one student a bit more space. But it is not a good idea to turn a blind eye to the mistakes he or she makes. It is not a good idea, first. And the second thing is, ask that student, that one student, to help more and more to other students who are lagging behind. It is important. It is our responsibility. If I'm good at something, it is one's responsibility to share that knowledge, that extra bit of knowledge, with others. So, and ask that one student, that smartest student, the smartest one, to help other students. And this is how we can cultivate the quality of like integrity and kindness, humility, in that particular student, that smart kid we're talking about here.
Miss Shivali Desai wants to know, how is it possible to prove a point to people who are our seniors and already have a presumption about us?
Excellent. I'm getting more interesting questions with time, right? So initially we didn't have any question. Now almost 6 or 7 questions now. All right. The thing is, why should I have to prove anything to anyone? First, and the second thing is, everything comes with time. Everything comes with time. When I was 20 years old, I used to fancy a lot of things. I used to think a lot of stuffs, and why it's not happening with me. I'm better than them and all that. I used to think a lot like that. But it actually came to fruition when I became, like, I was of 25, 26 years old. So everything has a scheduled time to come in your life. Like, the shelf life is there again. So try your best and do not wait for somebody's validation. It is not like, if the seniors, the so-called seniors, if they acknowledge my work, only then I'll be successful. It's not like that. It's not like that. You ask yourself whether you're successful or not. Okay, whether you have the zeal, whether you have the hunger to do better or not. If you have that hunger constantly going on inside you, within you, deep within you, You are successful, my friend. That's it.
Uh, Madhav Das wants to know. I know that, like he says that I'm aware what a leader is. What are some of the properties of a great leader?
Leaders, we have to take now. We should start taking some examples from politics, I guess. Maybe I don't want to get into that territory, but again, you understand. That's it. You get, sometimes nobody is there to tell you. You will get it on your own. For example, if I am taking care of other people, and I'm actually displaying leadership skills and all that, people call me, of course, good leader and all that. But the moment I turn deaf ears to all those praises and compliments and work unselfishly without any agenda and work continuously for the people and with the people, then you can call me the great leader. Because that is the difference between a leader and a great leader. A great leader doesn't bother. He or she is he doesn't bother and doesn't care whether people are there to praise him or, and do not play to the gallery. Do not become a leader to play to the gallery. And leaders who are great leaders, the greatest of them, they did what they wanted to do and just dropped the mic there, right there, and they went away. That's it. That's how great leaders can be marked.
I think that brings us mostly to the end of the questions. Yeah, I think we've like almost answered similar questions together. So, thank you, Arkapravo sir. It was a very engaging and interesting, and I think everyone's confidence is has been given a dose of success, and we
Yeah.
all look forward to becoming taking few points from your session and working on them to become better leaders in our own capacities.
Mhm.
If not, then at least better listeners, uh,
Exactly. Better listeners and better readers.
better team
It's just,
members.
yeah, better team members.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. With this, we bring come to the end of this session. This was the last session for this year. We will see all of you next year. A very happy new year to all of you. And for more such webinars coming in the new year, please visit my center and register for the same. Thank you, sir. Thank you, audience. We will close the session now.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Simran.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Happy New Year to
Bye.
you in advance. Yeah.